Such an idiot. Coco Gauff opens up about her biggest early career regret, broken heart tennis. Such an idiot. Coco Gauff doesn't hold back as she reflects on one of the most defining moments of her early career. After reaching her first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal, a breakthrough that many young players only dream of, Gauff admits she made a mistake that changed how she approached success, pressure, and expectations. Instead of fully embracing the achievement, she placed unnecessary weight on herself, mentally and emotionally, at a time when joy should have taken center stage. In her own words, Coco explains how inexperience led her to misread the moment. The excitement, media attention, and sudden spotlight all arrived at once, and she tried to handle everything alone. Looking back now with maturity and perspective, she calls herself such an idiot, not out of regret, but out of honesty, acknowledging a valuable lesson learned too early, but ultimately for the better. This candid confession reveals a side of Coco Gauff fans don't always see. A young athlete navigating growth, pressure, and self-belief on the world's biggest stages. Her willingness to open up reminds us that even champions make mistakes, and that those mistakes often become the foundation for greatness. Broken heart, tennis purple heart. Coco Gauff will be hoping to avoid making the same mistake again after reaching the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. Gauff beat 19th seed Karolina Muchova to reach the Australian Open quarterfinals for the third successive year. This also signals a 10th Grand Slam quarterfinal of her career, with Gauff still only just 21 years old. When reflecting on her achievement, Gauff admitted the mistake she made after reaching her first Grand Slam quarterfinal nearly 5 years ago. Coco Gauff explains what she did after reaching her first Grand Slam quarterfinal. Gauff reached her first Grand Slam quarterfinal at the 2021 French Open when she was just 17 years old. However, when asked about some of the difficult obstacles she has faced in her career, Gauff admitted that she looked way too far ahead, which ultimately cost her. I think always in the past for me was maybe not looking too far ahead. Gauff said in her post-match press conference after beating Muchova, "I remember when I made my first quarterfinal. Such an idiot. I think it was French Open, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm so close to winning." Obviously it wasn't. Plenty of people make the quarterfinals in their career and didn't win. That's just how I thought at that age. Honestly, now I just treat every match like I'm the furthest away from the trophy. Even if I am in the final, I treat it now as if I'm the furthest possible way, like I'm not even close. For me, in my head, that just helps me play better. I don't know if that will work for everybody else. Gauff has reached 9 previous Grand Slam quarterfinals in her career, to which she has found varying degrees of success. The aforementioned quarterfinal she reached at the French Open in 2021. There have also been varying degrees of success for her in Melbourne, with Gauff losing to Paula Badosa in the Australian Open quarterfinals last year, but she did make it to the semifinals in 2024. Gauff will be hoping that she can recreate her Australian Open experience from 2024 when she takes on Alina Svitolina in the quarterfinals. This will be a 4th meeting between the two players, with Gauff leading the head-to-head against Svitolina 2-1. However, the one previous match they played at the Australian Open saw Svitolina beat Gauff in 2021. Such an idiot. Those words might sound harsh at first, but when Coco Gauff uses them to describe herself, they come from a place of honesty, growth, and deep self-reflection. Looking back at the moment she reached her first Grand Slam quarterfinal, Coco now understands that the biggest challenge she faced wasn't her opponent. It was the pressure she placed on herself after the breakthrough. For most young players, reaching a Grand Slam quarterfinal is the reward. For Coco, at that stage of her career, it quietly became a burden. She has admitted that instead of allowing herself to enjoy the achievement, she immediately began worrying about what came next. Expectations multiplied overnight. The media attention intensified. The label of future champion became heavier, and in trying to live up to everything all at once, she forgot to do the most important thing: breathe and appreciate how far she had already come. Coco now calls that mindset her biggest early career mistake, not because she failed on court, but because she failed to protect herself mentally. She tried to grow up too fast in a sport that already demands maturity beyond years. In her own words, she laughs at herself now, calling it such an idiot behavior. But that honesty is exactly what makes her story powerful. It shows that even prodigies are still human, still learning how to manage success as much as failure. What makes this confession so compelling is how clearly it connects to the player Coco Gauff has become today. She didn't let that mistake define her. She learned from it. Over time, Coco developed a healthier relationship with expectations. She learned that progress isn't always linear, that setbacks don't erase breakthroughs, and that enjoying the journey matters just as much as chasing trophies. That lesson has helped transform her into one of the most mentally resilient players on tour. Now, when Coco steps onto court, there's a calmness about her that didn't always exist in her teenage years. She competes with freedom, confidence, and belief, qualities that come from understanding that one match, one tournament, or one moment doesn't define an entire career. Her ability to reflect, adapt, and grow mentally has been just as important as her physical development or technical improvements. This kind of vulnerability is rare at the highest level of sport. Many athletes avoid admitting mistakes, especially ones tied to mindset. Coco Gauff does the opposite. She speaks openly, not to criticize her younger self, but to show how far she has come. In doing so, she becomes more than a tennis star. She becomes a role model for young athletes everywhere who feel overwhelmed by success too soon. Her story carries a powerful message. Success without perspective can be dangerous, but success with self-awareness can be transformative. Coco's regret didn't slow her down. It sharpened her. It taught her how to handle pressure, how to filter noise, and how to stay grounded when the spotlight gets bright. Those lessons are now visible in the way she competes on the biggest stages, especially at Grand Slams, where mental strength often separates champions from contenders. Today, Coco Gauff stands as proof that mistakes don't weaken greatness. They build it. That early quarterfinal moment, once filled with confusion and self-doubt, is now a cornerstone of her growth. She wouldn't change it, because without that experience, she might never have learned how to truly trust herself. In the end, when Coco Gauff calls herself such an idiot, she's really celebrating how far she's come. She's acknowledging that growth requires missteps, that maturity comes from reflection, and that greatness is built not just on winning, but on learning. And as her career continues to rise, one thing is clear. The lessons she learned early will continue to fuel her journey toward even greater success. Broken Heart Tennis Purple Heart. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.